Uh, Let me
Yes.
apologize for joining late. I had a little technical glitch as I'm joining up now. I believe you had a nice day.
Good
I
evening,
believe.
sir.
Good evening, Aja. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Henry. Good evening, Kingsley. Hope you all had a beautiful day. I welcome you to this evening meeting. Um, Last time we stopped at. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we started looking at the concept
Yes,
of
sir.
time value of money in our last meeting, and I did tell you that money has time value, which means the value of money is such that deteriorates with time. The value of money decays with time. We took some very practical examples, and then from there we started looking at the issue of discounting and compounding. Started talking about discounting and compounding, right? Am I
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
So, what's the difference between discounting and compounding?
Yes.
I'd like somebody to differentiate between discounting and compounding for us.
Discounting is present value of money. When finding the present value of money, then compounding is when finding the future value.
It's okay, but it can be made better. The last speaker just gave us the skeleton. Somebody should put flesh on it. Meanwhile, thank you, the last speaker, for the skeleton. Somebody should add flesh. Obviously, discounting has to do with present value. Compounding has to do with future value. So I like it to be said in a better way.
Okay, sir. Kingsley on the line, sir.
Okay.
Discounting is to bring to the present the future value of expected cash flow, while compounding is interest earned, which is added to the principal amount. Thank you, sir.
Who's talking? Can I still be heard? Is it from my end or yours? Can anybody still hear me?
Yes, sir, we are hearing.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, sir, I hear you.
Okay, that means it's not from my end. All right, Kingsley was talking. Kingsley, you can go ahead. Kindly unmute yourself and continue.
Okay, so I said discounting is to bring present the future value of expected cash flow, while compounding is when you are adding both interest and the principal amount together. Thank you, sir.
I take the first one. When you are discounting, you are bringing to present the future value of what? Expected cash flow. Then when you are compounding, you are building up a stream of flow plus the interest is generating in an attempt to determine the future what value. The future value of a stream of flow or a flow plus the interest accruing from it. When you put that all together, you are what? Compounding. So obviously, when we compound, we are looking at future value. And in most instances, plus the associated interest. Then when we discount, we are looking at present value. We are asking ourselves, if tomorrow were to be today, what will 5 naira be? That is discounting. And then we're also able to look at some practical scenarios in compounding and discounting. And then today I think I remember saying that we'll go to multiple compounding, right? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will be looking at multiple words compounding. Now, it's a very common situation where as you invest a certain amount in a certain venture, it doesn't always hold that interest will be paid annually. Like the example we took in our last discussion, we assumed that interest payment happens once in a year, and it is done mostly annually. I think that's correct. But then today, we want to look at a situation where interest is paid not once in a year. Maybe interest is paid semi-annually, or interest is paid quarterly, or interest is paid monthly. This can happen, right?
Yes, sir.
These are likely, okay, let's assume a very simple example. I have say ₦1 million. Don't come after me. I'm not giving anybody palliative. I have, let's say, ₦1 million, and this 1 million, I want to put it in a savings account that generates money. And then firstly, the first option I have is 10% per annum. And I want to hold this account for like 5 years. Then the second option I have is 5% every quarter. And I also want to hold this for 5 years. Then the third option I have is more interest is paid like 4% and is compounded every month. Now, I want to deposit my 1 million into an interest yielding account. And I intend to hold this account untouched for the next 5 years. And then my option one is this money will be put in an account where interest is paid to me at 10% but annually. Then the second option is this money will be put in an account where interest is paid to me at 5% every quarter. And then the fourth one is this money will be put in an account where interest is paid to me at 4% every month. But then one thing you should know why it is called compounding is that I don't just get this interest and collect it back. I'm not going to make any withdrawal from this account. This interest will be plowed back in a manner that January, for the third example, January's interest will become part of the capital or part of the principal by February. And interest will now be calculated on the what? On the interest of January by February. The interest of January and February will form part of the principal by March. And interest will also be calculated on them. That is actually what is meant by what? Compounding. So now the question is, I have all these options. Which of the three is the best for me? Which of the three is the best? Now, don't expect me to set a question like this, but the question when explained will look like this. But it could be a scenario question. Let's assume somebody has a child. He wants to set up the child after 5 years. But he says, okay, I'll give the child the 10 million today. And then the child has the option of investing this 10 million or putting this 10 million in a venture that pays interest. And then these are the options available to that child. And then the child approaches you as a financial expert and asks you to advise him. Which advice or which option will you, offer the child? It can be a scenario question, it can be a management question, that may come up to you as a manager. All right, so let's deal with this. Now, the first one is equivalent to what we discussed last time. Am I correct?
Yes,
Please
sir.
kindly unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Unmute yourself, provided there will not be background noise, because I need to be getting the response. So it will encourage me. Okay, so let's deal with the first one. Can somebody offer the answer to the first question? Sorry, I was looking for my calculator. Now, the first question is annual compounding. That is compounding, single compounding, right? And then we are looking at the future value, which is equal to what? Future value is, what's future value? Future value is equal to
PV.
PV, yeah.
Times
PV
discount.
times, it's not a discount factor now, it's compounding factor, because you're not discounting, you're compounding, right? So it's PV times into 1 plus R, 1 plus R raised to power N, right? Yes. Is that what we are looking at?
Yes, sir.
Can you see my screen?
I can.
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Am I right? Is that's what we are looking for, right?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
our future value now becomes our present value is 1 million. So 1 million. Then into our R is what? 0.1. While our N is 5, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that will be 1.1 raised to power 5, then multiplied by 1 million.
That's 1610510.
That's about 1.6
1.6.
million.
Yes.
Is roughly 1.6 million. 1.6. If we take it to the closest 1.6 million approximately, right?
Yes.
So that means in the 5 years,
Yes,
1 million will become 1.6 million, compounded annually. Then the next question is, when you have multiple compounding, when there is multiple compounding, in multiple compounding, we can't say raised to power n anymore. It won't be raised to power n. In multiple compounding, future value FV is equal to PV into 1 plus. Now this will change. I'll get a fraction there. Okay. Will be arrow over m raised to power nm. Now, when you are doing multiple compounding, this is what the formula will become. The formula will become PV into 1 plus R over M raised to power NM. Now, what is, the new introduction here is what?
M.
The new introduction is M. What is M then? Where M is equal to the multiples of compounding. M is what? The multiples of what? In other words, how many times are you what? Compounding.
That makes sense.
You get that?
Yes, sir.
So
Compounding.
now in the second, let's now look at the second question. The second question is, please, that person generating the noise, we are doing something quantitative. Don't distract us, I beg you.
Newton, please mute your mic, please. Thank you.
If you generate noise, I'll remove you. That's just what I'll do. Once you generate noise, I'll remove you. I'll not ask you to mute your mic. I'll remove you. I've done that to Newton, and I'm waiting for the next person. Okay, so we have this. We said M is what? Multiples of what? Compounding. Now, if interest is paid every quarter, what will be our M?
It's 4.
M will be what? 4.
4. That's 4 quarters in the year.
That's 4 quarters. Thank you. Now, in the light of that, let's now solve scenario. We solve scenario 2. Scenario 2 will be our future value remains 1 million.
1 million.
Then
Present value.
Present value.
Our present value. Thank you. Our R remains 0.1. Then while our M is
4.
Our R is 5%.
No,
4.
no, it's a little
5
more than
times 4.
5 times 4. That's 20.
20 now. Now let's resolve. Let's resolve this. Firstly, we get the power, which is 20. Now 0.1 divided by 4 will give us 0.025 plus 1. It will be 1.025. 1.025 raised to power
20.
Raised to power 20. Then multiplied by
1 million.
1 million. Okay, now to actually see the impact of what we are doing, permit me to fall back a little. Let me return the same rate of interest. Permit me to do that. Let's return the same rate of interest. That's 10%. 10%. You know, somebody says, I will take this money, but I'll be paying you 10% every year. Another person says, I will take this money, but I'll be paying you 10% every quarter. Another person says, I'll take this money, I'll be paying you 10% every month. Let's see whether there will be any difference. Are we together? Okay, now that would mean,
yes.
What would that mean? It would mean, we had even made mistake in solving this. The second one should have been 0.05, not even 0.1. So we are still on the right path anyway. So that means what we have here will be,
Yes.
0.05.
sorry?
Instead
What
of
do you
having
have?
zero point 0.1, like we have 0.05, sir.
We should have had 0.05, but I've adjusted it.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
So it will be 1638
1638 616
616.44.
0.4.
We'll go
Yes.
back. Let's have this other one in full so that we can see the difference practically. Then this 1 million into 1.1 raised to power 5. That's 16 to be 161051.
10510.
Okay. Okay. So that's that. Now we go to the next one. That is option C. Option C. Okay. Option C is where interest is paid what? 10% monthly, right? So if interest is paid 10% monthly,
Yes.
let's see what it will look like. Okay, that will be this. Let's pick this. For monthly payment of interest, it will be 1 point. That 4 becomes what? 12.
12.
Then it becomes 5 times what?
12.
5 times 12.
12.
Okay. Now let's work that out. Now that will be 1 divided by 12, or 0.1 divided by 12, then plus 1. Okay, that's 1.008.
83.
And 833. Then we say raised to power
60.
60, right? Raised to
Yes.
power 60. Okay. Then multiplied by
1
1
million.
million.
It's 1645.
That's 1645
45.
1645 308.93.
308.93. Okay. Now let's look at, there's another scenario, we missed it. The fourth one would have been where interest is paid by monthly. That is 10%. 10% by monthly. Interest is paid 10% what? By monthly. You know what will happen? Give me the results. Can I have the answer? Quickly give me the answer. When interest is paid 10% by monthly, what would that be? This would be 2. And this would be 5 times 2. That's 0.1 divided by 2 plus 1 raised to power 10 multiplied by 1 million. Okay, that gives us
1628.
1628
894.
894.63.
0.62.
Okay, so now let's compare notes. Let's look at all these options. Now let's create a small table. This is the okay, let's have this. This is option. Then this is interest. Or let's just say total amount. Then we'll have interest elements. I think these three will suffice. Let's just let go of the other columns. Okay, so the first option is 10% per annum. Second option is 10%. 10% what? Per quarter.
Quarterly.
Quarterly.
Per quarter. The next one is 10%
By
monthly.
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 And then the next one will be 10%.
Monthly.
Did I say by monthly?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
And none of you
Sir,
corrected
sir.
me.
It's bi-weekly.
By annual.
I wanted to make the observation that bi-monthly should actually be 6. It shouldn't be
That's
exactly, because bi-monthly is every 2 months, which is 6 in a year.
yes. What I wanted to say there was biannually.
Okay, sir.
But we could still have bi-monthly anyway.
Because the calculation I did was bi-monthly, so I was.
Let's even include it.
Oh, okay, sir.
Let's now include it. So this is 10 years by what? Monthly. Bi-monthly means, bi-monthly here means every 2 years. I hope you're aware.
Every 2 months.
Every
2 months.
2 months.
Every 2 months, sorry. It's like my mouth is locked down. Now 10% by monthly. Okay, now you have the result for by monthly, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let's just pick it up and then take the decision. Okay, now total amount for annually. Give me the total amount, interest inclusive. Now remember, this amount, this figure we got is the principal plus interest. I hope you know.
Okay.
I hope you know. It's not just it's principal plus what? Interest. That is what that money would have become at the end of the 5 years. I don't know whether you're following me.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Interest, yes.
And that's what the money would have become at the end of the what? At the end of the 5 years. Now, this is what the money would have become
Yes.
at the end of the 5 years. And this is for quarterly. Now, this is what the money would have become at the end of the 5 years going monthly. This is what the money would have become at the end of the 5 years going
Biannually.
biannually. Are we correct? I missed it too. No, it's not biannual here. It should be semi-annually. It should have been semi-annually. Biannually means every 2 years.
Every 2
But
years.
what I have in mind is that's twice every year.
Every
That's
6
every
months.
6 months. So it should have been semi-annually. Right?
Yes, sir.
If it is semi-annually actually. Okay. Now this is bi-monthly. So what will bi-monthly give us?
1641 940
1641
940
940
0.97.
0.97. Okay. Now let's determine the interest elements. We are all together.
Yes, sir.
Now the interest element in the first one will be 161050 minus 1 million.
That's 610510.
That is 610,510. Now the interest element in the second one will be, just hold on, don't worry. Don't worry.
638616.
Don't worry yourself. Let me do it smartly. Just copy and paste and remove all the 1.
638.
Am I correct?
Yes, you are, sir.
Okay. Any questions? So in the light of that, which option is the best?
The monthly option.
The monthly is better.
The monthly option is the best. Why?
Because he yielded the highest amount.
It yielded the highest interest, which is 645,308 naira 93 words.
93 kobo.
Kobo. So you see, that's the advice. That's the advice. So, and this question is just based on compounding. So if you're asked, you have to compound the whole thing and then be able to see the one that has the highest interest element or the one that produce the highest total amount. You get the point now. You judge it by the interest element or you judge it by just the total what amount. So the one that produced the highest total amount is the what? Is the best option, which in this circumstance is the monthly what option. Any questions thus far? Did it ring or should I redial it?
Iran, sir.
No, it didn't ring, sir. I am trying to get the calculation, sir. Maybe it's my calculator, sir.
So which one is not ringing?
He said it's 0.1 divided by 12. You add it to 1.
Yes.
Then this 5 multiplied by 12.
That'll be 60. You raise whatever you have to power 60.
Power 6.
Power 60.
60, yes, power 60. Okay. Yeah, you multiply by 1 million.
Yeah, you multiply by 1 million. Whatever you have, you now multiply by 1 million.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Is that okay for you?
Yes, sir.
Now, there's another question I'm trying to let us look at. Let me get it. Please react to make sure you are reacting. Don't keep quiet.
Okay, sir.
Sir, I can't view the screen.
You're not talking well, though. I can't hear you clearly. Please say something. React.
It's my network. I can't view the screen. Sir,
Who is speaking? I can't really hear you.
Melinda,
Who?
I think my network is
Is it Hajia?
Miss Baby.
Hajia, are you? Is it Hajia? She is even disabled. Her voice is not, her audio is not on. Okay, I think we'll have to go on. Any other question? There are a few questions I'd like you to take down. Just take down this question. We need to address it. Now, one of them is, let me just get the question. Now, let's have a question like this. How long will it take a given sum to double itself if interest rates is 10% compounded annually? Did you see are you seeing the question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let's assume you have a certain amount. Let me give you a picture of a scenario question that a man wants to build a house. He has 20 million today. He actually needs 40 million to build that house. And then he wants to put this money in a venture that will double the 20 million over time. Then how long is this venture going to last if interest is paid at 10%, or maybe the yield from that venture is 10%, and then this 10% is compounded annually? That's a question. That's question one. I actually want us to look at two questions before we leave here. So the first one is this. Let me get the second one.
The first one, how long I didn't get the first part of the question.
It's written. Can you see the screen?
I'm seeing it now.
That's the question. Question on the screen.
Okay.
Now remember, this question, we are not looking for the amount. We are looking for the number of years.
Yes.
We are looking for time. Time is what we are looking for. Now there could be you can have another question where you may be looking for the interest. You may be looking for the interest. Now that question may be what compound rate of interest would be needed to produce 20,000 naira after 4 years with an initial sum of 16,000 naira. Let's digest these two questions. Let's digest them so that I'll be able to deal with them clearly. Now, the first one, what are we looking for in the first one? In question number one, we are looking for
Time.
time. So in question number one, we are looking for what? Time.
Time.
So, and remember, you are also going to use the simple interest formula to look for what? Time. Now, how long will it take a given sum to double itself? Now, this sum is 1 here, right?
Yeah.
The sum is 1. Then let the sum be what? Be what? 1. Now, when doubled, it means 1 times what? 2.
2.
Which is what? 2. Now, we can assume that our principal is what? 2. Right? Let's assume that our amount is what? 2. So, and that would mean these two will be equal to 2 will be equal to
bracket
1 bracket
1
bracket the compounding factor now. What's our compounding factor? 1 plus 1 plus r raised to power what? Raised to
N.
power n.
Small r.
Okay. To satisfy popular demand, let me make the r small. Okay, so this is what we are looking for. We need to resolve this equation. So in the light of that, we know what our r is, right? Our r is 0.1.
0.1. Yes, 0.1.
Then our n is unknown. So that becomes 2 is equal to 1 bracket 1.0.1. That's 1.1 now, right? Raised to power n. Raised to power n. All right.
Yes, sir.
So if we go ahead to bring this together, that would be 2 multiplied by 1. That is 2 is equal to 1.1 n, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Let's put like terms now. That's 2. Of course, you know that what's the one here doing? 1 here is multiplying, right?
Yes.
When it crosses the equality sign, it becomes what?
Dividing.
It will become division. So that means 2 divided by 1 will remain what? 2.
2.
And that's equal to 1.1 raised to power what? N. 1.1 raised to power n. Now we can introduce log here.
Yes.
We can introduce log at this point. So we will have log of 2 divided by log of 1.1. Log of 2 divided by log of 1.1. Then log 2
7.25. 7.27.
over here is sorry, let me use equation editor. That will be so our n becomes equal to
7.
n becomes equal to
7.27. That's what my
n equals
7.27.
log 2 over log 1.1. Okay, so you say you have what?
7.27.
7.27.
7.27 and the other set. Is that consistent with
That-
what everybody has?
Yes, sir.
That's equals 7.27. Okay. Now okay, now you know what we're going. Well, let's assume a certain amount. assume a certain amount, and then apply 7.27 as your time, and then use 10% as your rate, and then okay, see whether it will double itself over 7.27 years.
Okay, sir.
Now let's assume a certain amount. Let's assume 50,000 naira.
Okay, sir.
Now let's assume our principal here is 50,000, and then we are compounding it for 7.27 years at 10%. See whether it will become 100,000. That's 1.1 raised to power 7.27.
Yes, sir.
Then multiplied by 50,000. That's approximately 100,000 to the nearest.
10,000.
Now
Yes.
use 1 million. Try it with 1 million.
Okay, sir.
Try it with 1 million and see whether it will double itself.
Yes, sir.
It will be approximately 2 million.
Yes. 1999.
Yeah, that's to the nearest million.
Yes, sir.
I'm hearing only 1 year, sir.
He's faster than his hands.
That's good. That's a compliment too. Oh boy. Any questions so far? Questions?
No, sir.
So where is the screen now? We are seeing you. We are not seeing the.
Aisha, you've seen the screen enough. Seeing it small now.
Seeing you by the side, but now you have covered everything. I want to see the screen. I want to see what is written there.
Okay, I'm getting it. Okay. You can see the screen now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Before we ask. Don't go to an exam and expect me to ask you find a no. You'll be given scenario questions, and then you are expected to code what is simple interest, what is compound interest, and be able to apply them. It's not just knowing them like a statistician. You should be able to apply them like someone who makes managerial decisions. All right. Then we move to the next question. What compound rate of interest will be needed to produce 20,000 after 4 years with an initial sum of 16,000? So let's have it set out. We have 20,000. That 20,000 is our future value. Am I correct? Remember, just for the records, remember, is equal to present value bracket 1 plus R
Raised to power n.
plus R the future value. Our future value in this circumstance is
20,000.
20,000. So put the 20,000 here. And then the present value is what?
Is
16,000.
16,000. So you put the 16,000 at present value. 16,000. And then your 1 is a constant, and your R is what?
What we are looking for.
Is unknown.
Is unknown. That's what you're looking for. Then your N is given.
4 years.
What's your N?
4 years.
4 years.
Your N is 4 years. So solve for R. What's the answer?
Oh boy.
Done?
No, sir.
Okay, now let's do that together. Now, the first thing is that this 16,000 here is more. Follow me. Let's go together.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Now,
sir.
16,000 is multiplying. When it crosses the equality sign, it becomes what?
Division.
Division. So 20,000
Divided
divided
by
by what?
16,000.
And that's equal to 1.
25.
Okay, 1 plus R. 1 plus R
To the power of 4.
one plus R raised to power 4. Okay, now we will have to give me the result of 20 over 16.
1.25.
So that would mean 1.25 1.25 is equal to 1 plus R raised to power what? Raised to power 4. Now we can, so here will be 1 plus R will be equal to the 4th root of 1.25.
Yes.
So get me the 4th root of 1.25. What is the fourth root of 1.25?
4.472.
1.057.
Says what?
1.057.
1.057. Is that a consensus opinion? Uh, 1.057. Is that what everybody got?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, finally, we are going to solve for R standing alone. Remember, this is 1 plus. So, in the final analysis, R becomes equal to 1.057 minus what? 1.
1.
And that will be 0.57, which is approximately 6%. Is that 0.57? 0.057. 0.057. And that will be approximately approximately 6%. Okay. Now, I'd like you to confirm this. Okay, you can even use 5.6, 5.7, use 5.7. That's 5.7%, approximately 6%. Now, you're going to confirm this result. I'll expect you to go back, compound 16,000 at 5.7%, compound 16,000 at 5.7%, I so that it will give you 20,000. You know what to do. That's 1.057. Oh, sorry. Yeah. 1.057 raised to power 4. That's this, multiplied by 16,000. What do you have?
19,900.
10.97.
Do it at 6%. Do it at 6%. That's 1.06 raised to power 4.
90,000.
499.
To the nearest thousand.
20,000.
20,000.
To the nearest thousand is 20,000.
Yes, sir.
Did you get that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's about multiple compounding. I've done a few things here. Now, one, when you're asked to find the rate or find the time. Then two, when you are doing multiple compounding, right? You're doing multiple words compounding. Now, the next thing we'll be going into, we are still on time value of money, application of time value of money. We are going into what we call perpetuity, annuity and perpetuity. Annuity and perpetuity. Annuity and perpetuity. I will, for tonight, introduce you to annuity. Just talk a little bit about annuity by way of introduction, and then we'll pick it up from there in our next meeting. So, but before I do that, are there questions? Do you have any question to ask me? Are there questions? Query me, please. Ask me your questions.
Sir.
I'm listening.
Okay, sir. Like
Who is speaking?
David, sir.
Okay.
David. Okay.
All right.
Like in some business, you may not actually know how much you are going to be getting in the future. Like, okay, let's say you are a businessman into selling of clothes, and nobody expected that by now everywhere will be locked down worldwide. So you are not aware of the amount you are going to get, but maybe you are planning on borrowing money to sponsor your business, and you want to use this this compounding method. How can I don't?
You are borrowing. When you are borrowing, you have an expected rate of return. I hope you know that. At least before you borrow, there are certain kind of pieces of information you have to make available to yourself, even to the lender. I may ask you, okay, you're going to invest this money in something. What's your expected rate of return? That's ROI, right? That's the return on investment expressed in percentage. Even a person buying Okada knows that if I'm giving out this keke or something, this person will be returning to me a certain amount. You can now have an idea of how much the thing will translate to in terms of percentage of the amount of money invested. So that gives an idea of the return. And then which, if you want to look at it critically, look at it with emphasis on the time value of money, you'll be able to discount whatever the flow will be, you know. So let's assume somebody will be paying you, we explained it very well at the beginning. You are investing 10 million, someone is going to be returning to you 1,000 or every month, or returning to you 1 million every year. And then you want to know the real value of that 1 million by bringing to present the future value of the expected cash flow. That's present value. Okay, you're going to commit your money into a venture and it's going to be giving you a yield, a certain yield. And then probably this return will be reinvested to generate more returns. Then the question now becomes, how do I know what the terminal value of this money will be at the end of the period or the time involved? So you adopt compounding, because this money will be coming and you'll be reinvesting the return. That's actually what compounding is all about. The money comes and you plow back the returns, and then the returns begin to yield another return in the following period. Then you just like that until the last point, you know. So that is how we apply compounding and discounting. Even the one we are going to look at now, it looks more practical than what we've been looking at. That's the issue of annuity and perpetuity. When you are taking a loan, there's what we call loan amortization. When you are building up money for a venture, there's what we call sinking fund. You know, so these are the things we'll be looking at under annuity and perpetuity. So I request that you permit us to continue, because some of these questions will get clearer, or you may even find the answer to this question as we are going on.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Haji, are you good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the network is better behaved now.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so let's go on. We are looking at annuity and perpetuity. An annuity is when we have the same, there's an annuity when we have the same stream of either inflow or outflow over a period of time or a determinable future time. over a determinable future what time is an annuity. When is an annuity? There's a terminal date. Then an annuity without a terminal date is called a perpetuity. The difference between annuity and perpetuity is that in annuity, there's a terminal date. But in perpetuity, the money is going to come forever and ever. Let's assume you're going to be receiving 10,000 until the end of time. That becomes a perpetuity. But if you're going to be receiving like 10,000 for the next 10 years, it's an annuity because it's the same stream of income. The flow is not variegated. It's the same stream, periodic payment or periodic receipts of the same value over a period of what? Time.
Time.
I don't know whether you're getting that. The same inflow or the same, it may be an inflow, it may be an outflow. But the bottom line or the key factor there is that it is the same amount over this period. Let's even look at something that there's an example I gave you in our last meeting when we're calculating present value. I spoke to you about present value of a single amount and then the present value of a stream of inflows. You remember?
Yes, sir.
So now if these inflows are the same over a period of what time? That means at the end of every year I get 2 million. 2 million, 2 million, 2 million, 2 million, 2 million for the next 5 years. That's an annuity. At the end of every year, I pay 350 to the landlord. 350, 350, 350. Maybe I'm supposed to live in the place for like 7 years or so. 350 for the next 7 years. That's an annuity. What makes it an annuity? There is an annuity because it's a constant flow. The amount is the same. That's an annuity. Now, there are two types of annuity. We have ordinary annuity, ordinary annuity, and annuity due. And then we have annuity due. When it is an ordinary annuity, it is year end or period end. It is done at period what? End. Then an annuity due is at the beginning of the period. Now, whether it is ordinary annuity or annuity due, one thing they have in common is that it is the same amount. But then what actually differentiates the two is when the money is paid or when the money is received. If the money is paid at the beginning of the period, it is what?
Annuity due.
If the money is paid at the end of the period, it is what?
Ordinary annuity.
Ordinary annuity. So know the difference between ordinary annuity and annuity what? Due. Now, and there are cases of, we have future value of ordinary annuity, and we also have future value of annuity due. Then we also have present value of ordinary annuity and present value of annuity due. The difference is that the difference is simple. If it is an ordinary annuity, assuming an ordinary annuity for 5 years, OA for 5 years, involves how many periods? 5 periods. Ordinary annuity for 5 years involves 5 periods. Then, if it is annuity due, an AD for 5 years, an AD for 5 years is not 5 periods. Is 5 plus 1 period. Now, because the money is paid at the beginning, let's assume you are paying the first payment is to last for 5 years, but the first payment is made in January 2020. And then the last payment will be made in January of the
2025.
good 2025. So if you count January 220, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, it will actually not be what? It will actually not be
5.
5, it will be 6. So that also actually differentiates ordinary annuity from annuity. In ordinary annuity, it's just the number of period. But in annuity, an extra period is taken, be it for future value or for present value. So I've just been able to introduce you to this. When we come next, I am going to start looking at how do we calculate ordinary annuity and annuity due in terms of present value and what? Future value.
Future value.
Then how do we calculate perpetuity? So that will be in our next contact
class.
Let me at this point say that I've come to the end of our discussion tonight. That's in the absence of questions. If you have questions, you raise them. If you don't have questions, you bid me good night.
Okay, sir. Sir.
If you don't have question, if you don't have question, you tell me that you were able to understand our discussion. Is that be okay?
Okay, my question is not actually on today's class. It's just on, we got an email that we'll be having a mock test by next week, 27 to be precise. I don't know, the mock, will it be based on what we have just done so far on this course, or just let me ask, sir.
Well, if it's a mock, it's a mock.
Sir?
If it is a mock, it's a mock.
Then to pay the school fees is not easy. We are under lockdown now.
Very valid point.
Aja, Aja, your phone is not locked down.
No, you know what is
your bank transfer platforms are not locked down.
It's for emergency purpose now, as we don't know when they will pay our salary again.
Well, I don't want to. I'm actually not the center finance officer, but what I just have to tell you is what one of our former presidents told one traditional ruler in those days. Said, if you owe them, pay them. So if
this uncertainty now, it's not easy to pay money like that.
Well, I think you can. Well, it's okay. I've taken note of your concerns. If there's anything that can be done about it, it will be done.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
If there is anything that will be done about it, it will be done.
Let them do something.
Make something to be done about it.
It's better they do something because it's not easy.
It's fine. I'm laughing in corporate finance.
Aja is making a valid point. Maybe
and I'm responding in lockdown situation.
Doc is in Enugu and he is not experiencing what we in Abuja here is experiencing. So I support that.
Do you know we got locked down almost three months ago?
How?
Your own lockdown just started.
We've been on lockdown
Asu has been on strike for three months now. Assuming if the union knows that I'm teaching you now, they probably will they come after me. That's why I am like Nicodemus meeting Jesus in the night. All right. Thank you so much for your. I think we'll be having other meetings this week. So let's see. For example, we've only done 110 all this while. We've only
So we can't hear you again.
Do I still have your attention?
Yes.
We didn't hear the last thing you
center.
said, sir.
I said we need money to run these things, you know. So if you've not paid your fees, make effort to pay. It's important you do. Your facilitators will need to be paid and other issues will need to be handled. So that's the thing. Just do your best.
So we will pay before exam, but before this mock, that's where the issue is.
It's okay. I think it's administrative. It will be looked into and handled administratively.
Okay, sir.
All right. Thank you so much for your attention and do have a good night rest.
Thank you, sir.
Good night, sir.
Yeah, bye. Stay safe. Make sure you wash your hands on running water and use your hand sanitizers.
No problem.
And stay in your house.
Okay.
All right, bye, sir.
Yeah, on Zoom. Don't worry.
All right. Bye. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Good night, sir.
Night.